Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bob Kelly, and I'm here to introduce some of the new clown tapes we're going to do right now. I think you're going to find them very enjoyable. They're being done by a very fine makeup artist, and it's going to teach you in a very simple way how to deal with clown makeups, how your children can deal with it. Just copy down some of the notes, and you'll be able to get the makeup or whatever else you'd like, okay? We're going to start off with a mime first. Then we're going to get into the white face, and then the Auguste clown, and last but not least, the character clown. So enjoy the tape.
And welcome to our clown videotape. This is the first makeup demonstration of the tape. If you're new at this and haven't seen us before, I want to welcome you. My name is Jay Perlman. I'm the makeup artist who's going to be guiding you through these demonstrations. And we are going to introduce now Richard Rogers, our model. And Richard is going to be modeling for us for the pantomime makeup, and we'll be seeing him a little later on in the videotape too. And now we'll turn this over to Richard for a couple of seconds here.
Okay, well, among some of the things that I've done in the past have been Leonore, Bedroom Farce, and The Imaginary Invalid. I'm currently studying under the First Amendment Improvisation Company, and soon to be pursuing a stand-up comic routine.
Brave young fellow. Braver than he realizes, because we're going to start the first makeup application on Richard. We're going to do the classic pantomime. Now, before we start, just give you a couple of materials to get ready. We're going to use some spirit gum, some eyebrow covering wax, some professional clown white, some clown white powder, black and red liner pencils, and maybe black and red clown cream colors also. Clean face to start with. Clean with soap and water first if you have to. Get into an old pair of work clothes, and you're ready to begin. First thing we want to do is we're going to take a little bit of spirit gum here, and we're going to mat down Richard's eyebrows. Now, this is not necessarily to be done for all pantomime makeups, but sometimes you want to use eyebrows that are different than the actor's own brows. Sometimes you don't even want eyebrows on the makeup. If you're going to try to cover them with our clown white makeup, best to mat them down flat with spirit gum adhesive, and take an old piece of ladies' stocking or a piece of parachute silk or even a damp chamois cloth. And what we're going to do is simply press the brows, sort of roll the fabric off in the direction of the ears or the end of the brow. Now, what am I doing? I'm simply flattening the brows down, and this is a lintless piece of rayon silk that I'm using, so they will lay absolutely glued flat down to his skin. That will make them quite a bit easier to cover with our eyebrow cover wax or clown white makeup if we decide to skip the layer of wax. The only reason I'm putting the wax and glue on him is he has fairly full eyebrows. Now, if you have very, very fair eyebrows or non-existent brows, if you pluck them all off, for example, you're not going to need this much glue and wax. Maybe the color of your makeup alone will be enough to just obscure your brows. But if you want to do a really thorough job of it, gently, and I mean be careful, especially when you're working around the eyes. Don't put this stuff in the eyes. Spirit gum should be in the hairs of the brows only. And don't just pick up a lot of glue on your brush and slosh it all over the model. You'll drip it in their eyes, you'll get it on the clothing. Work a little at a time and you'll get much, much better results. Now, the spirit gum must be put in right down to the skin line, because when the brows are pressed flat, there has to be something for them to be glued to, namely all that glue in the eyebrow. You can't use a towel for this. Don't try to use a towel or a bath towel or a hand towel. The reason why is that's usually made out of terry cloth or some blend of some similar fabrics, and that has a lot of fuzz and it has a lot of lint on it. If we press that down onto his forehead or onto his eyebrows, you're going to get lint and fuzz stuck all to the hairs. Don't use cotton either. Don't use Kleenex tissue. The same thing. It will glue right to his eyebrows, and it will tear and shred, and you'll have quite a mess. If you use a lintless towel, like I said, or a piece of old stocking, don't steal anybody's valuable stockings. Just, see what you have around the house, cut up an old pair, and that will work just as well. Now we have his eyebrows fairly well glued right down to the skin. And how do you know it's glued? Well, you simply touch it and you see it's flat. Absolutely flat. That's what you should go after. Spread the hairs out and get them flat. Now the next thing we're going to do is put a little bit of this eyebrow covering wax on him. But you're not going to build up a layer. You don't want to sculpt it. You want to just put a thin layer over it. You don't want to build up thickness, or else you'll have a Frankenstein effect. Just take a little bit between your fingers and sort of knead it around. And you just start by placing a thin layer, very thin, less than a lima bean. Don't take half the wax stick and try to apply it to this poor man's eyebrows. A little of this firm wax is all you need to cover the brow. If you need any more, add a little more. It's easier to add what you need than to overdo it and spend an hour scraping it down because you've overestimated. Just add a little bit at a time. That's all you want to do. This will take the makeup a little better, and this will not let the dark color of his own eyebrows bleed through. That's what sometimes happens. If a person has very, very dark hair or thick, full eyebrows, if you put a little white face foundation or the makeup is too thin and you're trying to cover the brows, you might end up seeing a dark shadow. Having the spirit gum and the eyebrow cover wax on Richard here will help to minimize that problem should it occur. Just get it thin and even. Thin is the key word here. Like I said, don't try to make a Frankenstein monster out of this. Next is time for clown white. Now, clown white will give you the real vivid white that pantomimes have. Now, let's talk a little bit about tradition and makeup here. Pantomime makeup, and you notice I'm stippling the makeup on with an up and down motion. I'm doing that so I don't get smears and streaks. You see what happens if you try to draw the sponge across the face? You end up with big streaks and smears. If you just tap on the makeup a little at a time, then you don't get those sponge marks or brush marks, and look at how evenly and cleanly we can start to cover the eyebrow. Now, if the ridges of the wax have little nooks and crannies that the sponge can't get to totally, cut a small piece of sponge or even take a little brush and work that. It'd be very easy for you to fix up. But this is the part that you should be paying the most attention to. The white face makeup has to go on white. Traditionally, the pantomime is only done with 3 colors. And that's a good white for your foundation, black for your eyes, the eye lining, the mascara if you choose to use it, and the eyebrows. And some pantomimes don't even use their eyebrows. They just have white. So if you want, you can see how we matted out the eyebrows, and you don't have to draw them in if you don't want to. But if you do, they should be black. That's tradition. You can put them on over your own brows, higher than your own brows, make a different shape, but the tradition dictates the color be black. Same for the eye lining. The mouth, well, usually it's red. I think I've seen 1 or 2 pantomimes who use black on their mouth, but usually it is red. Now, these are the 3 basic colors, and they don't change. But you can design your pantomime face. You might want to put little teardrops under one eye. Some mimes do it. You might want to put little points. You might not want to do anything different to the eyes except just line them. Some pantomimes even put a little red circle on their cheeks. Some don't. Some outline their mouths with black after they put their red lip makeup on. Some don't. But as far as your choice of colors, that doesn't change. Usually, a pantomime makeup ends at the jawline, because what you're doing is creating the mask effect, and in this case, the mask would end before the neck. If you have an area of the skin, his mouth for example, that you know is going to be a different color and not white, don't put the white there. Or if you get a little on there by accident, try to wipe off some of it before you put another color on. Otherwise, the colors will mix And then you'll see why a lot of people, when they do clown makeups and mime makeups, they say, gee, I put on my white foundation or whatever foundation I'm using, and then I try to put on lips or I try to put on cheeks, and the color doesn't look right. Why? Usually because they put color, in this case white, where it does not belong. If you have a color that belongs on the mouth, and it's red, for example, don't put white there. Now, don't miss any spots. That can be tricky at first. You just have to sometimes step back from the makeup and look at it and say, well, do any spots not look as white as they could be, or did I put too much makeup on a spot? Work evenly, and if you... now, we're using sponge to apply this. Don't use your fingers. The fingers will not give you the even color that the sponge will. And the fingers, well, if you get them all full of makeup, you're going to find it's a real mess to clean up if you want to handle other colors. So the easiest thing here is simply not to use your fingers for applying foundation. Generally speaking, in professional makeup, we don't usually use our fingers to apply foundation on anybody, whether it's for a clown makeup or a corrective makeup or a special effect makeup. It's considered unsanitary and not really very professional. But we do use our fingers for highlights and shadows and other things. But you'll find it's a lot easier if you do what I do here and take a piece of white synthetic plastic sponge and cut it into wedges, and you can use it to nicely sponge on a nice even layer of makeup. Now at this point we're going to have you close your eyes. Now be very, very careful. If your model wears contact lenses, you have to go extremely carefully around the eye, if at all. They may not even be able to wear them, some people, when you put the mime makeup on. Now open your eyes and look upward. So be very, very certain that you ascertain the model has no contact lenses in. Okay, now we'll do the other eye. Now I didn't bring that color right up into the lashes, close your eyes, because usually you put on black eye lining for your pantomime, and we want to give a little bit of space next to the lashes for that black color to go. Otherwise, if there were too much white close to the lashes, the black would mix, and it would look a little too gray. Well, we're all perfectionists here. We get that from Bob Kelly. But it's a good way to be. Do the best job you possibly can, and if anything goes wrong, make a note of it so you'll know for next time what to avoid. Now look up at the ceiling with your eyes open. That's good. Always work gently around the eyes, no matter who you're working on. I don't care if you can't stand the person. You have a responsibility, and you don't ever monkey around when you're working with makeup close to somebody's eyes. Now that we have the foundation on, we'll check it and make sure it's even. If it is even, then the time has come to powder it. Before you put on any other colors, you want to try to set this makeup as much as you can. Now, clown white makeup, which is what we're using for our pantomime here, is heavier paint than ordinary makeup foundation. Because it is heavier paint, it will need a little bit heavier powdering. So we have here, and we're going to keep him secured here so we don't get this on his costume. Close your eyes. We're going to use clown white powder. Now we're going to lay a lot of this on because you want to try to absorb the greasiness, and you can press it, tap it in, but press with a gentle but firm touch. Certain things to watch out for. Watch out that the area around the eyes doesn't get all wrinkled up and crinkly before you get a chance to powder it. You may have to just take your fingertips or your sponge and gently smooth out the color. But you want to first make sure your white makeup is white and even, and that you press in a generous amount of powder to really absorb the oiliness. And while you're doing that, I'm going to advise you to get your black pencils ready, or your black cream liners. Get your red colors ready, because after we do this and dust off the excess powder, we are going to apply the eye makeup and the lip makeup. Now, after you've been powdered, just gently press any excess powder in that needs to be. Just tap it with your finger, see if it's nice and dry to the touch. If it is not dry to the touch and it feels pasty and tacky, then you can lay on a little more powder. I advise you not to take a giant floppy brush, the way some people powder makeups with brushes. Well, for our purposes, that's not exactly what we want, because one good smear with a big brush will make smudges and wipe part of the makeup off if we're not careful. So what I'm doing is patting the makeup on, the powder rather. Pat the powder on. Be gentle around the eyes. Now, when he opens his eyes, we can see just what, if anything, has to go around the eyes. The makeup powdered, it's time to work on the eyes. And we're going to use two different types of makeup probably, but we're going to use a pencil first. Now, this is something you have to be delicate when you do. We're going to line the eyes. Now, Richard, close your eyes and raise up your eyebrows with the eyes closed. See, when the model can do that, you can put that thin pencil line right there at the lashes. Just keep the eyebrows raised up nice and high. There we go. And keep the eyebrows up. And raise up your eyebrows another time for me, nice and high. This is why we try not to put makeup, heavy white makeup, too close to the lashes. Because when you try to put your eye lining on, the makeup will mix and turn color and look kind of grayish. And you want to try to get this nice and dark if you can. Now, open your eyes wide and look up at the ceiling. And we'll just put a thin line under here. Make sure your eye lines are nice and artistically dark. And we'll try this one more time. And in this case, our line really does meet at the other side. Usually in makeup we don't do that, but this is a special type of makeup. Hold the pencil on a slight angle. You don't want to gouge his eyes. And close your eyes. And with your fingertip, you can gently shade the lid a little bit, if you want, to give you something nice and artistic. And make it delicate. And raise up your eyebrows, Richard. That's good. You do a little shading if you're delicate. Now, when you have the eyes on, you want to see what has to be done to the eyebrows. If we decide to use them, which I think we will, let's give him a nice little, just put a little guideline over here. And we'll put a guideline over here too. And you can take a black pencil, or in this case we're going to take little black cream makeup. And we can paint this right on. If you're delicate and gentle with it, you don't have to work the brush back and forth too much over the area. And then maybe we don't need to even powder it if we're really delicate. If the makeup has started to mix, if your white face makeup was not powdered down enough, maybe what you can do is just take a little blunt end of a Q-tip or something and just scrape off some white makeup from the area where the eyebrow has to go, if you're finding that your color is mixing too much. A little at a time. You can make any design you want, or like we said earlier, you might even decide on a design that has no eyebrows, where you may want some very full and expressive eyebrows. Choice is up to you. You are the designer. But take your time with it and make sure each of your shapes is nice and simple and clean. Now that the eyes are finished, you may want to line the lips with a lip liner pencil before you take out the brush and start to fill them in with the red cream. The red liner pencil will help to give you a nice, even line. Some people don't hold a brush very well, and that's understandable. My hand shakes a little too at times. And here you can simply put on your line just where you want it to be before you commit yourself with the clown red cream. If you're going to do lining of the lips for clowns or pantomimes, you try to line it with the same color that the cream is, but you use a pencil. And this way, if your hand shakes a little bit too much when you use a brush, or you're not good at lining it up visually to make the sides even, then all you have to do is just use a lip lining pencil. Now that we have the lips lined, we're going to take the red cream makeup from the clown kit, and we're going to paint him up. We're going to keep this pantomime makeup nice and simple. Like I said earlier, you can make a few little adaptations if you so desire. You know, a nice artistic shape to the eyes or mouth, or little circles on the cheeks, or heart shapes, or teardrops from the eyes. But don't make the faces too busy. Don't make the faces so frantic with decoration that the audience doesn't know where to look. Keep the makeup simple and artistic, and that's all you need for a successful theatrical clown face. Now, the next makeups we're going to show you are going to be more elaborate. But here you have your basic clown white foundation and some simple lining for the classic pantomime. Now, we're almost done with his mime face here. Now, I'm not using a lot of powder. I powdered the white face makeup heaviest because, after all, it is the thickest paint, and I want it to look nice and matte white. But try not to use that much powder over the other colors. The more you powder a vivid color, the less vivid it becomes. So if you're really careful and you don't smear the makeup, perhaps you can get away with no powder on parts of it. Well, here you have the classic pantomime makeup. Nice and simple and nice and easy. A white face, red lips, eyes in black, eyebrows in black. Simple. Now it's your turn. Go and try it. Well, we're back. Now, I hope you didn't find the pantomime makeup too difficult for you. We're going to take you now to the next step in clown makeup, the white face clown. And Tracy is going to be our model. And if you notice a little facial resemblance to Bob Kelly, you're right. Tracy is Bob's daughter, also a professional makeup artist, but here, our model for the white face clown makeup. Now, pantomime took you through applying clown white, applying powder, using the pencil liners, and some of those exact same techniques are going to be used for the white face clown. The white face clown evolved from the pantomime. Now, what is a white face clown? A white face clown has a white foundation for the skin, brightly colored designs and markings around the mouth, many times the eyes, sometimes a false nose, sometimes not. But we are going to demonstrate this with a different type of white makeup than was used in the pantomime. We're going to use the white foundation stick. We have several different items to choose from. You don't have to be tied down to using one thing all the time. Now, what you want to do here is look at the face and always have an idea of what you're going to do before you go ahead and do it. Now, we're going to take a white makeup pencil, and before we do anything as far as painting, we are going to draw the outline of our shapes on the bare skin. The reason why you should always do this is it's a lot easier for you to approach the face like it's almost a coloring book. You see, this way you do the designs first. Get them nice and even, get them wherever you want them to be, but you're the artist, but get these designs on before you commit yourself with the makeup. Now, we're also going to design an area for the nose. We're not going to use a false nose for this makeup. The next two makeups we're going to show you will take you through a couple of types of false clown noses. But right now we're going to leave this area because we're going to paint it. We're not going to sculpt it. And I think we're also going to use a little cheek design here, a small one. Now, I'm trying to make this bold enough so you could all see it there at home as you're following along, or as you're just watching. You can follow along as we're doing this, or you can also just take notes on this and do it at your leisure. But get your designs on the face first. It makes it a lot easier when you paint. Now the eyes, well, you can do anything you really like. We're going to add a little bit of a higher eyebrow line. So that means we cannot use the eyebrows that she naturally has. Now you have a couple of ways at your disposal to block out eyebrows. You can use spirit gum and eyebrow covering wax, but she has fairly fair eyebrows, so we're going to just take a little bit of this soft eyebrow cover wax. Don't take too much, just enough, and you just knead it a little bit on your fingertips, and we're going to smear this down and add a thin layer over her eyebrows, just enough to mat them down flat. Don't add so much that it becomes a new three-dimensional shape. That's overdoing it. But her eyebrows are just there enough that we'd have to put a little something on them if we want to successfully cover them with the white makeup. You can add painted eyebrows over your own. You can draw them right on over your own. You don't have to wax out your eyebrows and add new ones. This is just something, little technique we're going to show you if you decide not to use your own eyebrows. If you remember from the pantomime demonstration, which you just saw, we eradicated Richard's eyebrows. Our model was Richard, you remember. He had spirit gum and wax for his eyes. Tracy's brows are a bit thinner and finer, so I think we can get away with using just the wax. Now, a cut piece of polyurethane foam plastic sponge is always used to put the foundation on. And we're going to use a white stick. This is the white cream stick, but for our purposes, it will go on nice, quick and easy, and quite white for our white face foundation.
White.
Now, if you listen really closely, you can hear the voices of makeup artists lurking in the background here. We're not shooting this, you see, in a real studio. We're shooting this in a better place. We're shooting this in the prosthetics factory and makeup factory in Brooklyn, New York, where Bob Kelly cosmetics are made. But it also happens to be the headquarters of one of the best special makeup effects laboratories in the industry. As a matter of fact, if you buy our tapes, which show you Halloween makeups, you'll get a chance to see John Caglione and Doug Drexler, who own the Makeup Effects Laboratory. And they are on the tapes, too. But you see, makeup artists are such an irrepressible lot that occasionally you'll hear the snickerings and gigglings and catcalls and encouragement that they are shouting me from the rafters where they're trying to continue their work on a film shoot. This is the nature of the beast. We say, always take your craft seriously, but never take yourselves too seriously. Now, obviously, those other makeup artists I've talked about have only heard the first part of that saying. But we'll bear with them, and if you bear with us, we'll actually be doing some real live makeup on this tape. Well, you saw the pantomime, and I hope you all had a chance to practice and work with whiteface before you got to this step. The makeups on your tape that you're watching are really presented to you in a progressive way. When you start out doing your basic whiteface application like you would for pantomime, you're learning how to handle that product if you've never worked with it before. Once you can get your whiteface nice and even and learn to handle it and not let it handle you, then you're ready for something like this. A clown with white face. Stipple the makeup on. Now, stippling simply means dab the makeup gently with an up and down motion. If you were to take your sponge and draw it across the skin and smear it and spread it like that, you'd have brush marks, sponge smears, you'd have a mess. But you want a nice, smooth, even layer of your white face foundation. Now, in this case, like I said, we are using the Kelly Cream Stick in the white shade. But what I'm using is not as important as how I'm using it. The stippling gives you the nice, even layer. Now, when you work around somebody's eyes, you must take specific precautions. If a person is wearing contact lenses, you should make sure they can have their eye area touched at all. Some people cannot. Many times, you are put in a position where you simply have to have the person remove the lenses so the makeup can be applied. Then when they put them back in, you simply retouch if any area needs it. But never risk injury to your model and to your professional reputation by not being careful around somebody's eye. You can do serious damage, and a makeup artist can be held responsible. So care and gentleness around the eye area is always the rule of thumb. You see, we're adding our foundation around the designs. Now, don't worry if you haven't exactly gone right to the edge of your designs, or you think a line is a little fudged here or there. You can always fix it up. But when you do a clown makeup, here's something to keep in mind. Usually, in a regular makeup, you add one color, then another, you shade, you highlight, you blend, you mix, and you powder when you're done. In a clown makeup, you'll find it easier to put on each color separately. Powdering, if you have to, in between colors. Now, when the first layer of paint is on, check it and make sure it's even. If you've missed a spot, touch it up. As long as the model keeps her eyes turned up toward the ceiling, that minimizes the chance of a careless sponge going in the eye. Okay. Now, for the white face clown, traditionally, the neck is made up also. Notice when we did the pantomime, the classic pantomime, the neck is not made up. That's because you are creating the mask. Here, usually the neck is also made up with the same foundation that you used on her face. Now, we're using creams, Clown White, Cream Stick. We are not using liquids or pancake, because if you really want the color to be vivid and to give you the covering power necessary to give you this nice clown face here, liquids and pancakes, they just don't have the heaviness and the covering power needed to keep those colors looking really intense and nice. Now, if we've decided that the white makeup is applied wherever it is necessary to have it applied, powder it. With what? White powder. Do not risk ruining your makeup by using a tinted or translucent or colored powder over white face foundation. Rub it in a little bit, close your eyes, and you can lay on a generous amount of powder. You want to make sure that you're pressing firmly and yet gently, section by section. The makeup should now appear dry to the eye and should appear dried to the touch. If your makeup is not dry to the touch, and no matter how you powder it keeps feeling heavier and heavier and heavier, try using a little less makeup. Maybe it's just on a little too heavy. You will have to find the happy medium where you can get the makeup just as white as is needed, but not heavier than is necessary. Gently, with your fingertip, press and pat it in. And if you find that you're running out of powder on your powder puff, simply dab some more on there. Reload the puff with some fresh powder. Don't skimp on the powder, because you want to make this nice and dried if you can. And test it as you go from area to area. Test it with a fingertip. See that it feels nice and dry. And if you come across any area that isn't, powder it and fix it up. Now, once you have this done, it's time to take another colored pencil, and we're going to start to outline a new area. In this case, we're going to outline the mouth. A red, ordinary, plain, true red. In fact, this is Bob Kelly red. Nothing else, just red, lip liner pencil. Now, here is a case where we're going to use a different color for the mouth, yet we want the edge to be nice and sharp and clean. So the red lip liner pencil matches the color of the clown red that we're going to use. You see, we're starting just with a line. That's all. We're not going to use the upper lip in this makeup. We're going to keep that white with the foundation. Try to keep your shapes even. Many times you might find it easier to cut a pattern out of paper. Trace it over her skin. Now, when you have just that much done, the line around the mouth, we're going to take the clown kit with our 7 colors and go for the primary red, and we'll paint this in, nice and simple. Imagine the whole face is a paint-by-numbers set or a coloring book. That's really the theory here. You have different areas that have been divided for you, and different colors go in different areas, and that helps keep you from putting the paint where it doesn't belong. Work gently, and don't hurry. Now, what you're seeing on these videotapes, and what you're going to see later on in the tape, are makeups that have probably been condensed a little bit for time. We'd love to have 2 or 3 hours to show you each makeup in nice, beautiful, slow detail so you can all follow along at your own pace. Unfortunately, we don't have that much tape available, and we want to show you as much as we can. So if you want to stop the videotape and work on fixing up a mouth or take a little longer than we're doing here, by all means do it. We'll still be here when you put the tape back on. Keep the line nice and clean and crisp, just like we're doing here. Now, the brushes that you use should not be cruddy little 5 and dime brushes. On the other hand, they don't have to be the most expensive brushes available either. Just make sure you get a good bristle brush. Now, we're using a Bob Kelly 10F. Now, what does that mean, you're saying out there? What is 10F? Right? Well, to many people, they don't know about standardization of brushes. And number 10 simply means that it's the widest of the brushes for makeup that we have, that Bob Kelly sells. And the F at the end of it simply means, maybe you can see this, the bristles are cut flat across the top. so you can get a nice line and a sharp edge when you paint. Now, when you have got just this much on, you may want to powder some of the mouth. If you do powder, try to use a white powder and use it very, very sparingly. There are some cases, sometimes you might find it's better not to powder if you are very, very gentle and very, very delicate, and you're not going to be doing a lot of damage to the makeup as you wear it. If you're not going to powder, another thing you can sometimes do is take a little bit of paper towel or even tissue and lay it gently and tap it with your finger to help blot away. Now maybe you can see that on the camera. You see that excess? All that just came off this clown makeup. And yet, even after we blot it, it doesn't make it any less red. If you want, time now to go on to the next area. We can put on the eyebrows by taking a pencil, making a couple of little guide marks here. And we're going to just trace a line. And now we're going to start by drawing it in. You can make this very artistic. You can make it even squared off if you want. Look at photographs of real clowns in the circus and see what they do. See where they look for humor in the faces. Funny eyes, a funny nose, a smiling mouth, a frowning mouth. But see what the real professional clowns do. See, just work with your pencil, and then you'll find it much, much easier to go in there and to fill in. Or if you want, you can even take the pencil like I'm doing right here and fill in the brow that way. Your objective in any event should be a thin or thick area of true black, or whatever color you're using. See? Now we'll go over here and finish this side. Like I said, I'm using the pencil, but you can use the black cream in the clown kit. You can even use black cake or liquid eyeliner, though that's very tricky to use. And you need a steady hand for that. Well, you can even use black pancake makeup applied after the makeup is all done. Now, if you have just the eyes done, it's time to go to the cheeks and see what we can come up with in our little bag of tricks here. Now we're going to add a bluish color. So we'll take a bluish color in our makeup pencil to make our outline. Sort of looks like a couple of apostrophes almost. But you can make whatever shapes you like. You can find wonderful ideas in the faces of professional clowns. Okay. Those are pretty even. And we'll take our blue from the clown kit. And we'll start to paint something nice. See, keep the color as it comes out of the container nice and dark and true. Now here's a word of advice to all you would-be young clowns out there. When you're designing your face, ladies and gentlemen, keep it simple. If you look at some of the famous circus clowns through the ages and modern circus clowns, you'll see their faces were not over-cluttered with 150 different designs. If you want to keep the face interesting, keep it artistic and simple. Otherwise, the audience will not know what to concentrate on. If a face has too much in its design, it becomes too busy, as we say, too hectic. And you just don't know where to look. If I want to keep this makeup nice and simple, I'll keep a simple design for the cheeks, a simple design for the eyes, a simple nose design, and a simple basic mouth design. You won't see me adding crazy things around the eyes or any glitter or any teardrops or any triangular points or this or that. You won't see me putting 5 new shapes around the mouth. The audience would just get a little bit confused. The best makeups, now I'm talking whether they're clown makeups or any theatrical makeups, the best ones are the simplest ones that do the job with the least amount of busyness on the face. And the tendency with beginners is to add another thing and another thing and another thing and another. And before you know it, it's just a hectic, helter-skelter mess. So keep it simple. And those designs are simple. Now around the eyes, we're going to just put a little simple lining, but if your makeup pencil, which we're using here, ever gets so dull that it can't give you a good true line, just use a commercial eyebrow pencil sharpener and sharpen it back up. That's all you have to do. Now look upward toward the ceiling. Now hold the pencil sideways if you can. I said you don't just have to use a pencil for this. You can use cake or liquid eyeliner if you have a delicate touch, black pancake makeup, black cream makeup. Just be warned that if you use black cream makeup, you will have to probably powder it. If the makeup starts to become too greasy and too moist, you may have to powder it also. Now close your eyes, and we'll just put a thin layer of black near the lash line, as close to her eyelashes as we can. Now, for those people out there in the audience who are very young and who may have a little trouble working around the eyes, don't risk hurting yourself or your friend. Have a parent do this. Never be afraid to ask for a little assistance from somebody older or more knowledgeable, because these materials that you're going to see in this tape and in all the other tapes we have, they're safe if you use them properly. If you're going to abuse them or use materials close to the eyes or mouth that are not meant to be put there, you're going to have problems. So no horsing around in the makeup room, no clowning around except when we get on the set in our full makeup, and you'll find you won't have any accidents that way. Now, if you've gotten just this far, we're going to keep her eyes closed. And just so I don't get too much black smearing off under her eyebrows, I'm going to try to give her a little bit of powder. Keep the eye closed. Gently. Keep the eye closed. Now, we're going to work on her nose now, and we said earlier that we're not going to use a fake nose on her makeup. We're going to paint it on. So, I'll take my red liner pencil, the same lining pencil that I used when we put in the shape for the mouth, and we'll just divide off the area, separating the nose from the rest of the face, and we'll get the clown red, and we'll simply paint on a nice, cute nose. Now, the next makeups that you're going to see, coming up we have the Auguste clown, and following that you'll get to see the character clown, or one type of character clown. Those makeups will have false noses. But we're going to keep the beginning makeups a little simpler, so you can get a wonderful effect, seriously, if you paint on the nose with Kelly Clown Red. You know, be careful. Don't have any blank spots showing through if you can avoid it. A nice, smooth, even application of your color. Now this is probably tickling the death out of Tracy's nose right about now. So, if your model starts to give you a warning that they're going to sneeze or laugh, you stop for a moment and you let them get it out of their system. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is take the black pencil, or you can take the black cream liner, or again you can take black pancake, but we are going to outline the mouth and the cheek designs. Well, let's start on this side with the cheek design here. Thin, don't turn. See, if the model were to turn her head when the makeup artist has this thing moving across her face, we'd have a whole smear line, and then we'd have to stop the tape, and the blooper reel that would result from my cursing and screaming and crying would be really worth a lot on the collector's market. Now we'll do this side, and after we do that, we will fix up the mouth with our outline. Now, no good clown makeup, for my money, is complete without a good clown wig. Now, for those of you out there who don't know this, Bob Kelly is not just Bob Kelly Cosmetics. There is also Bob Kelly Wig Creations, which has been Broadway's top wig maker for Broadway, motion pictures, television, for 40 years. So the wigs that you're going to see used in this demonstration tape all come and are made by the Bob Kelly Wig Creation Company. So that's where a lot of the professional clowns also get their wigs from. So if you're ever in New York City, stop up and see us, and we'll tell you anything you want to know about what you've seen in these tapes, products used, anything. Now go gently here. You know, hurrying through this is a sure way to make mistakes and to really end up messing up a beautiful job. Now let me give you a little circus trivia. A white-faced clown is divided into two types. When the clown designs that you put on are of a small, dainty, delicate size and design, it is called neat whiteface. When the designs are of a bolder, oversized, comical shape, then the makeup is called grotesque whiteface. So our white-faced clown is really broken down two ways. That's if you really want to be literal as far as what the circus defines it as. See, we're even outlining the nose. So you get to see a little separation in the shape. And I'll stick my head right in here and I'll block the whole frame. There you go. Now we are going to throw a wig on her. And we're going to keep this right in a tight close-up, so we're going to surprise all of you here. But like I said, no clown is worth it, in my opinion, unless they have a funny hat, a funny wig, and a funny costume. Now, we're going to just dress this like so. And the final thing we're going to do now as we show you everything in the completed makeup is the clown with costume. Now we have a white-faced clown with wig and costume. Now I know everybody out there doesn't have this kind of costume, but you don't really have to go elaborate. You can dress up with anything you find around the house. But here is the makeup, and that's the most important thing. Hi there, we're back, and we're going to now show you an Auguste clown. What is an Auguste clown? Well, First of all, it's spelled like the month of August with an E on the end of it. That's all you need to remember. An Auguste clown is different from the white-faced clown that you've just seen, because the face on an Auguste clown is usually very bright pink. You've all seen that clown, you just probably didn't know what the name of it was. An Auguste clown has a pink face, and usually the colors we use for the clown markings are white, black, and red only. Now you have the option again of blocking out your eyebrows or using them just as they are, but just like the white-faced clown design, we're going to sketch out the design on our model's face first with white pencil. But before we do anything with makeup, we're going to introduce our model and let her speak for herself here. You're now permitted to speak.
Hi, I'm Lee Schubert, and I'm here today to help show how much fun and how easy it can be to be a clown.
Lee is not an actress, not a model. She's just an ordinary, everyday victim that we just happened to snag up. No, she's a friend, and we're going to start now with our design. First, white pencil. Just like you did for the other clown, a white pencil design. And this will give you all the boundary line you need for your color. Just like the white-faced clown, you only put a color where it belongs and you don't spread it all the way out where it doesn't. So, we have a little design here we can use. Up around the eyes. Now, I don't know if this is all coming out in camera close-up, so I'll try to make it a little bolder so you can see. But white pencil is best in this case because it's not going to really show through the makeup. We're going to make a little outline around the nose. We're going to put a false nose on her later on, just a commercially available one that you can find in a novelty shop. We're even going to put on a little mouth design here. So we'll draw out the shape. Now the Auguste clown, you can mix the base color by adding red to a commercially available foundation, or you can take the new color we have called Auguste. And this can be quickly and easily applied with your polyfoam sponge. And you take your time with it, but it gives you a nice, vivid, bright color. The Auguste foundation should be vivid. Apply the foundation, just simply work around your other shapes. And if you're going to wear a clown wig or a partially bald wig, for example, of course you would not put the makeup where the wig has to go. You would match the color later on when the wig is applied last. Also, we are not going to put any makeup around the nose because in this makeup I'm going to use a simple rubber nose, the type I say that's available from a novelty store. So you don't have to put makeup foundation or any makeup really where the nose is going to go. See? Work with your edge, with your the edge of your sponge, or you can even use a brush if it's easier for you to get the edge nice and sharp. But make sure that your foundation for the Auguste clown is nice and bright. Don't ruin the makeup by using a dull, dingy, muddy color. The color we make here is really quite vivid and quite nice when it's applied full strength right out of the tube, out of the stick actually. And don't be disappointed if you find you're not putting it on quite as fast as I am. I'm not looking for speed from you people out there. We are looking for accuracy, so take your time. You may find it a little difficult the first time you try it. The second time you try it, it's less difficult. The third time, even less. There is nothing that is too hard for anybody here to do, believe me. Trace out your design first and you'll save yourself a lot of wear and tear and a lot of headaches. Now, when the Auguste foundation is put on, powder it. Remember we said in clown makeups, you would powder after each color, not usually when the whole makeup is put on. Section by section, color by color, we powder it. And again, for the sake of simplicity, we're using the clown white powder. Here's a case where when you're doing the Auguste, you can, if you want to, use the regular Kelly translucent powder, if you want to. Only because, you see, this foundation is not whiteface. When you're doing your MIME makeup or you're doing your whiteface clown makeup, you must powder white makeup with white powder. Anybody who's ever made the mistake of powdering a whiteface makeup with tinted powder knows how easily the makeup can change color and be virtually ruined. So clown white powder gives us a good result here too. Now we're ready for the next color. But I think I'm going to wax down her eyebrows first. And we're going to use our eyebrow cover wax again, just like we did for our previous makeups. Now I'm not going to put spirit gum in her eyebrows. I'm just going to flatten them down, spread them up, and use just the wax alone. We're going to see how that works. See, wax alone is a little easier to remove than wax with spirit gum. But we may find out, too late perhaps, that the dark tone of her eyebrows may show through the makeup that goes in the eye area. Well, we'll take our chances. That's the spontaneity of makeup tape demonstrations. If you find the color is bleeding through, little spirit gum may help too, or a little heavier makeup application. In clown makeups, you'll find they're not usually concerned with camera close-ups like we would be in motion picture and television, but it's a good idea still to have your makeups as good as you can get them, regardless of how they're going to be seen. Sloppy makeups will look sloppy whether they are seen on camera, seen live up close, or seen on stage. There's no substitute for taking your time and having a little bit of care about what you're doing. See, we're just putting a thin layer on. We don't want a thick, waxy buildup, ugly yellow waxy buildup time. No, we don't want that. You don't want this so thick on the model's eyebrow that it takes on a life of its own and gets sculptured, like the Frankenstein monster. That's what you would get if it's too heavy, or it would look like scar tissue, irregular. Keep it thin. If you want to do wonderful scars, we have some wonderful tapes on special effects that I advise you to go out and look at, but you won't be seeing any scars here. Now that you have that on, we're going to add white. In this case, the white is going to be added to the eye area. You can sponge it on, you can brush it on, and we're going to use the regular Kelly Professional Clown White. This was the same white makeup that we used for our MIME and for our white-face clown. You can sponge on the majority of this, but there may be a few spots toward the edges that require a brush if you want to get a really, really delicate line. And just with all of our other makeups, make sure your model is not wearing contact lenses or has any eye problems that would be problematic when you have to put a sponge in there. You're not wearing contact lenses, are you?
No, I'm not.
So then it's safe for us to gently go into the eye area. Now, if you close your eyes, always work gently. The face you save may be your own. So we're going to put this on. We're going to put about 90% of this on with our sponge. And there'll still be a little bit for us to do with fingertips or perhaps with a brush. Now open your eyes wide and look up at the ceiling. As long as the model looks upward at the ceiling with her eyes, that will minimize the chance of the sponge going into the eye. You can relax now. And we'll do the other side. This is why you draw those white line designs. You see, if you didn't have a guideline to block out the areas for your eye shapes, your mouth shapes, your nose, for example, if you didn't have those guidelines, everything would be estimate. Everything would be guesswork. Now, if you've had years of experience in doing imaginative makeups, clowns, special effects, fantasy, then maybe you don't need to use a design or to have a concept before you go in there and paint. But I've been doing this for 20 years. Well, I have. And I am not yet to the point where I feel confident enough just to go in there and totally wing it without some sort of design. So this is what will save the makeup many times. You see, we're putting the white on, again, with that stippling motion, the up and down dabbing method of application. So this will minimize brush marks and smears and everything. And you see, we can just touch up the rest very easily now. Open your eyes and look up at the ceiling. That's good. And be gentle. Now we're going to take a little clown white powder. Close your eyes, please. And we're going to set part of this. Now we can add a little white around the edges for touching up, and it won't matter that we've powdered this. As long as the color doesn't have to be blended or shaded, you can add one color after you've powdered another. Just be gentle. And don't scrape the face. Just gently dab on your powder until the surface is dry. Now we're going to go back to this in a moment. But next I'm going to start with the mouth. The mouth is going to be two colors. First we're going to put the shape on in black. You can always put on an outline of the same color that you plan to line the mouth with. Then you simply fill in the area within. Now, we're not going to use the upper lip as part of this black mouth. We are going to combine the upper lip with the other color that is put around the mouth. Many clowns, you'll find, do not use their upper lip as part of the character design. That's an old circus tradition. Now we're going to take a little Bob Kelly black cream makeup and now gently relax the mouth. That's it. We can gently fill in, sort of like a coloring book on a grand scale here, except it's three-dimensional with a human face. We're going to fill in this mouth, and we're going to fill this in now, right across. Try to keep the makeup off the upper lip, because, like I said, we're going to use a different color on that. But again, we're keeping to the traditional Auguste colors, which are white, black, and red for our clown markings. Now, if you want to do a wonderful makeup your first time out, just follow what we're doing here, or follow any good picture of a clown that you can find. And before you know it, you're going to be designing your own faces, and you're going to find how easy it really is. Now, once you've gotten the mouth, we're going to try to get it fairly even. No, don't slave too much over it. Just do the best you can. But once you have the mouth, you can lightly powder it, and you can go on to the color around it. In this case, we're going to lightly, very, very lightly, put a little powder on it. And I say lightly because, remember, the more powder you use over the bright colors, the grayer they can go. Okay? Now, take your white paint and a brush. And we are going to put some white around the black. Now you can use your pencil, or if you have a delicate touch and you don't mix the colors too much, you can add your white paint right up around the black edge. Now do your edge first. Get the area that's closest to the black area done first. Then it's going to be a lot simpler to add the rest of the color. But start it just like this first. And work around the bottom, side to side if you want. But a nice brush with a good edge is essential if you want to keep your line clean. See? And we'll do the same on this side. Take your time with it, and don't rush, and it will come out a lot nicer and a lot more professional. See? You can correct little mistakes if you're careful around the edge here. Make the line nice and clean and nice and bright. If your white paint is starting to mix into your black paint, stop and wipe your brush off and clean it. And clean up any makeup that might have been discolored. See, this is why we have our guidelines, so we know just where to bring the paint out to. We're going to be doing a little blending of this too in a little while. See, the upper lip ends up being whitened, and we're also going to add red a little later on. Like I said, we're going to put on a few different colors here. Get that nice and smooth and nice and even. And we'll just continue this up here and finish off our white shape. And then we're going to add a little gentle powder over that. See? Now, once you have that done, lightly powder it. Again, clown white powder. We're just going to sort of lay that powder right on and press it. Now, I know the black area looks like it's gone a little gray, but we'll take care of that. But we're going to keep a fresh powder puff side, always touching her, so that we don't end up touching her with a side that's touched the black makeup. Then, if you're careful, you can just lightly tap off the powder. Even use a little powder brush if you're careful. And we'll just tap the black areas with our fingertip to make them nice and black again. Okay, clean off the excess. Same over here. You add a little bit of powder, lightly, gently. And you can tap this with your finger and get it nice and dark again. Remove some of that excess powder residue. And we'll do the same up here. Just take away some of that excess powder. All right. Now we're going to add some red. The red in this case is going to be nice and decorative. And we're going to put this around the white. You can use a red lip liner pencil if you so desire, if your line is a little fuzzy. And we'll start out with our line. Now the brush I'm using will give me a nice, clean shape. I'm using a Kelly 2F brush. F meaning nice and flat cut across the top. So I get a nice, crisp line. And again, make sure the red that you choose is a nice, bright primary red. We're using the Kelly Clown Red. You can even use a Kelly lipstick if you have the right color. I believe number 9 is about the best true cherry red we have. So, work a little at a time here. But you want that red to be vivid. And that's pretty much what we're getting. A nice true red. And you can even paint this a little wider. We're going to sort of now fade this away a bit. It's a nice thing about clowns. You can get artistic. Keep the designs basic and simple. But you see, we can even fade this away so that it gently blends into the Auguste foundation. See, gradually, so there's no real sharp line of demarcation. And we're going to work with that all around the edge of our red. Just tap it. Tap it with your fingertip. You see what that does? It makes it nice and delicate and gentle. So your clown red starts out pretty strong where it touches the white. But as it fades toward the chin and toward the cheeks, you can make it a little less so. Or if you have the design to do it, you can even make it full and bright red across the cheeks. But like I said before, the traditional Auguste colors we're sticking to white, black, and red. And we're getting quite a nice design on you. At Bob Kelly, we have designs on everybody. Clown designs. You see, a little tapping of the fingertip helps to fade away and feather away the red edge. See, here's a case where you really have to use your fingers to get a nice, gentle fade. Or maybe there are some out there who could do it with a sponge just as well. But if you don't have them or you don't care to use them, by all means go in there and use your fingertips. So we're going to keep that red pretty bold next to the white. And there we go. Now we'll go back to the eye area. The eye area, we're now going to take our white paint and our brush and make that line clean. Now, you didn't have to really wait this long. If you wanted to work on it after you put on the first layer of white, you certainly can. But here, we're going to make our edge nice and clean. And I think, if it helps you, the brush I'm using, I'll tell you what it is. It is a 10F. Again, F meaning flat cut across the edge. See, for that nice flat line. And number 10 because that is the widest brush that we have to use. And we're even going to fade a little bit of this white. Just fade it at the edge so that we don't have a sharp, thick, heavy line. Okay. And we'll work a little on this side now and clean up this shape. And if you want, if the makeup is becoming a little too moist, you can dust a little powder over it. Help set it. And there you see. Carry this line down nice and straight and clean. And we're going to just, like I did on the other eye, lightly fade away the edge. Delicately. We're going to not let it be too sharp. Now, you can dust a little bit of white clown powder over this, like I said, if you want to set it a little more. And now, time to get out your black cream liner or your black liner pencil, because we're going to outline the white shape around the eyes with a little bit of pure black. So that's why I say get a little bit of powder up here so the surface is nice and matte and dry. Otherwise, you may find you have problems with the makeup sticking properly. So look what happens when you start to draw your black line and it divides the two colors nicely. And we're going to keep it nice and even. Try to keep it of an even thickness so it doesn't look too skinny on some areas and too broad on others. We're going to just fade that away at the bottom. So that it follows the shape. And we'll do the same on this side. Now you notice we still didn't do anything to the nose, because we're saving that. And we said whether you use a little bit of molding wax to create a nose for yourself, or you use one that you can buy in a novelty or costume shop, you use your colors for your clown designs first, then you use your wax or your rubber nose for the clown nose last, or just about last. And we're going to put this nice and dark and fade this away too a little bit. All right, now close your eyes. We're going to add a little black right here through the eye and up high. Look up at the ceiling with your eyes open, please. There we go. You can put a little dab or two under the eye. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Now sometimes the makeup ends up turning a little grayish because the area is too moist, in which case we can powder it, or if your eyebrow pencil is starting to get a little too much makeup on it, just take a commercial pencil sharpener, eyebrow pencil sharpener, and sharpen it back up. That will take some of the makeup off of it that's gotten over the edge. Close your eyes. And you see now we can apply this and it's a lot darker. And if she opens her eyes and looks up at the ceiling, we can continue that line just like we did with the other eye. Now we're going to put a nose on her. And I'm going to take a little bit of spirit gum before we apply the nose. And if you're using a rubber nose and you want to use spirit gum, only apply your adhesive to the edges that will touch the skin. You don't have to put the glue all over the entire nose, the same as if you'd be building up a wax nose, for example, just wherever the edges touch the skin. And take a piece of rayon silk or parachute cloth, tap it to get it nice and sticky, and then carefully put your nose in place before the gum dries out. Adjust the fit as well as you can. And you simply press it down when you have it set. Now, if you really want to be elaborate, you can wear funny hats, wigs. And here's our clown, and we're going to even try a clown wig. So we have a wig right here. These are called blender wigs. These are professional clown wigs. So when you have a fabric top to them, you simply take your makeup and you apply the foundation over the material, just like this. You make sure it's a good fit. You get the idea. In fact, we're even going to go more elaborate and give her a hat. So then maybe we don't even need to make up the bald head. Be a clown, be a clown. So here's our Auguste clown. Well, let's even see. Maybe we'll turn it around so the yellow side shows nice and bright. Red wig. Usually the hair for the Auguste is red or orange. And we have white, black, and red designs over an Auguste clown foundation. And now it's your turn. Go give it a try. Okay, we're back. Now we're going to show you a character clown. Now a lot of you probably say, what is a character clown? You've never heard of one before. Character clown is a little bit different from the two types of clowns that you've seen just demonstrated and from the first pantomime. A character clown takes the idea of a human face, a strong character type, and by exaggeration of your design, you burlesque it and make it so ridiculous in the extreme that it becomes a clownish, funny face. Now, a clown can be a man, a clown can be a woman, it can be a man playing a woman, it can be a woman playing a man. Clowns can be anything, but a character clown is a human face made ridiculous. To make it easy for you, the easiest type of character clown that we can do here, one you've all seen and all know, is the hobo or tramp clown. That is a character clown. Now, we're going to use the Auguste base that we used in the previous demonstration. We're going to use black cream liner. We're going to use a little bit of white cream makeup. We're also going to use a little bit of red makeup. And we're going to take a rubber nose and add that to him at the end of the makeup, too, along with a wig and costume, so you can really see it. Richard is our model again, having survived pantomime makeup early on if you saw the first demonstration. So, without any further ado, we're going to get going. You need your white makeup pencil again. And here, we are going to do the designs before we even paint one brush stroke. Here we're going to use a nice, sad shape for this clown's mouth. And again, you draw this on ahead of time with white pencil to make it a little easier. And then we'll do a line right here. No, you can all see this. We'll try to make it dark enough so you can see it. For the beard area, for our hobo, we're going to be using the black cream liner to give us that wonderful black beard shadow. And we're even going to give him some nice, sad eyebrows. We're going to use his own eyebrows for this, but with an extension on top. The other makeups, if you remember, we waxed out the eyebrows and we totally changed their shape. Here we're going to change the shape, but we're going to use the actor's own brows as a starting point. The nose, just like we said in the other demonstrations, you leave it till last. So we're just going to block out the outline of that area and leave it. Let's start with the Auguste base. Now, you can use the Auguste, you can use a dark, pinkish, grayish tone, whatever works for you, but it should be a heightened color. Now, the Auguste base works well for this. Keep the makeup thin, usually. Same as the other makeup, just keep it thin, and you'll use less. The only time you have to really go a little heavier is when you're using whiteface or doing mime. But here, see, keep his hair out of the way, and use your sponge to go right around the edges of your designs, of the outlines of your designs. Like the other colors in the other makeups, we said only put a given color where it belongs. Now, Richard, open up your eyes wide and look upward toward the ceiling. There we go. And we'll do the same to the other side. Like that. 1, 2, 3. Close your eyes. Oh, get that. Right in the corner. Now, you can do a little shading and blending. We can take clown red from our clown kit, and either with a sponge, a brush, or our fingertip, we're going to blend some nice rosy cheeks into this makeup with our clown red color. So, you can use your fingertip if you want to help it along, or use the clean side of a brush. Now, after the makeup is powdered and dry, you can always use Kelly pancakes or dry colors to retouch and tone up a color that may be looking a little too pale for you now. But for now, we'll do that and only that, and now we'll powder this color with our clown white powder. Remember, we said each color for a clown makeup, if it has to be powdered, should be powdered separately. Now, I hope you're getting your white lining color, or your clown white, ready, because the next color we're going to add will be our white. And we'll take a nice brush for this. Now we'll paint the mouth. Okay, bring the color across right where you have your line. And in this makeup, we're probably going to use both upper and lower lips. Just to show you, there is no real stereotype. You shouldn't make all of your makeups stereotype. Every makeup, whether it's a clown, a monster, a beauty makeup even, you should think it out. Devote a little energy to your design. Make sure it's nice and unique. Every face you do should be a nice original creation. Okay. Go across the lips. Work with your shape here. In this case, we want a nice, sad shape to the mouth. Or you might even want to make a happy hobo. Up to you. Usually hobos are not happy. They're a little sad, a little downtrodden, downcast. Now, once this color is on, and you just have the white on, powder it with your white powder. This will help prevent the makeup from smearing into the next color we're going to add to it, which in this case will be black. We're going to add a lot of black to the mouth area. And for that, we're going to start the outline with a black pencil. Now be careful, because you want this to be nice and crisp and sharp. You can also use black pancake if you want, but I find this pencil gives me the sharp, clean black line that I want. So you just go around at the edge, nice and clean and even. Don't rush and don't hurry. Now, once you have just this much done, take a piece of sponge and your black cream makeup, right from our clown kit, and we're going to start by dabbing this in the beard area. We'll bring this right up to where his own sideburns are growing, and we'll bring this right to the edge where we've just put our black pencil line. You may find it's easier for you to take a brush and actually use a brush where the two black colors meet. Now we're going to blend this edge where it meets the pink color in a moment. But now we'll get it nice and even, and we'll go right around here first. And don't forget, go around the chin, under the throat, the mustache area also. And you can see what's starting to happen. We're starting to get a hobo clown in living color. Now, up. That's good. So you don't have to go all the way down the throat and the neck, but just get under the jaw so it looks right. But in the final analysis, you, the audience, are the designer. So whatever you feel looks good, you can give it a try. Let's get the mustache area. Now open your mouth wide, and that, you see, stretches the upper lip area. And when that's been stretched as wide as you can, and relax a little, that's good. Then you can use your sponge. If you don't have a delicate touch and you feel more secure using a brush for this, by all means go ahead and do it. Okay, relax. Now we're going to take a brush and add just a little bit of black to clean up our edges, right where the cream paint meets the pencil line. And we're even going to bring that right up here for touch-ups. You see, you can really fix up things with a little quick brushing. And here, I said, we're going to fade this, because sometimes you can get a wonderful effect if you just use your fingertip and bring it up ever so slightly as you're tapping the makeup. So you get a faded away effect, where it looks like the black paint is fading into the pink paint. Now we'll fix up the other side. See, we'll fix up the edge if we have a little gap showing out. Easy enough to retouch. Very, very simple. Keep your colors nice and rich and dark. And let's do that little fade away thing over here with a fingertip. Now, you can even fade this away too if you want. Whatever you feel looks right. And we'll give it a little fade away right here too. You can even use a clean Q-tip cotton swab for this. If your fingers are not that fine and delicate, no matter. Don't worry. Now, once you get that done, let's move up to the eyes, the eyebrows. You notice we can still see, well, I can still see, I don't know if you can out there, the white, outline for the shape we're painting on now with our black cream. See, we're just following that shape. And we're bringing the paint down right into his own eyebrows. And look how that's starting to look. Now let's go and fix the other side, just like we did the first side. Follow your outline, and little by little you start to paint it in. Yeah, you can be artistic. There we go. Now, a tramp clown or a hobo usually needs some red on the nose or a false nose applied. So we're going to get involved in that too here. We're going to give him a little bit more of an elaborate artificial nose than some of the other clowns had. Now, Richard, if you look up at the ceiling with your eyes, we're going to just put a little eye line, little character eye line right here. There we go. Nice and even. Now, for some clowns, okay, now we're going to paint the other eye here. Now, you don't always have to use upper and lower eye lines if the clown might look nice without it. You are the designer. Look up. Keep looking up. And we're going to give him sort of sad eyes. Like that. Now, you don't have to follow it exactly as we did it here. Look up. You can make it any design you want. We are going to give him a nose. And in this case, we're going to use a nose that was got from a costume shop. And we're going to put a little spirit gum adhesive around just the edges where the clown nose will lay. Don't put glue all over the whole nose, just over the edges. And we're going to take a little bit of parachute silk or rayon silk. Just tap it up and down until it gets nice and sticky. Now we'll gently put our clown nose, and we pre-colored this because it's easier to color it before it goes on the actor's face, in this case. Gently center it just where you want it. Get it just as you want it before you press it down. And when you press it down, it's a simple enough matter to take a little bit of your paint and touch up the edge to hide it a little bit. And we'll even take a little foundation, put it up here, for example. Now, no clown makeup is complete without the right wig. So, for a hobo or character clown, we need a hobo or character wig. Now we'll just put this on you 1, 2, 3. And you'll see it'll start to really dress up the makeup and make it come alive. One of our old Bob Kelly specials here. And now, after we get this on, we'll give him a hat. Nice derby. Put it on the right way here. There we go. And voila! We have our character clown plus our costume. Remember character clown? Auguste base, black beard, prosthetic nose, white lips, eye makeup. It's your turn now. Get your paints together. Follow along with us. You can do it. Go out and practice. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the videotape you've just seen, and if you're serious about makeup, you've probably been following along with this and have picked up some new techniques to practice on yourself and your friends, or your enemies with, for that matter. But if you're serious about makeup, really, then you're going to want to do some independent study once in a while, and we have 3 books which we can really recommend to you. First of all, Stage Makeup by Richard Corson. It used to be the Bible of stage makeup, still is, and this book will teach you just about whatever you have to know for basic makeup artistry. Next to that, you see a book called Makeup for Theater, Film, and Television. This is written by Lee Bagan, also an excellent, excellent book for all-round makeup technique. And next to that, you see Techniques of Three-Dimensional Makeup, also by Lee Bagan. This book is for the advanced student who wants to know more about mold making, casting for prosthetics, application, foam latex. This is the book for you. All of these books are excellent if you want to study and learn more about makeup. And speaking of makeup, let's take a couple of moments and show you right here some of the makeups that we have for you here at Bob Kelly Cosmetics. You see lipsticks, we have clown white, bright colors, liquid foundations, any color pencil you want, primary colors in stick form, student kits. This is the cream stick kit with foundations and lining colors, and next to it on the end here we have the Mirage kit. These are versatile makeups. They can be used in theater, film, television, streetwear, fashion, photography, whatever you want to do, this will be your makeup. And the next step is up to all of you. Get your colors together, get a book or 2, follow along with our videotapes, and practice, practice, practice. You can't get better unless you practice. We hope to see you on the next videotape. And until then, get out the colors, get out the pencils, and paint a...
Well, now do you believe me? I told you it was going to be a fantastic tape. And the next ones will be just as beautiful. Now I'd like you to meet my whole clown family, right behind me here. Thank you all. See you again on the next tape. Bye-bye.